Hello children, welcome back again. I'm redoing this control and coordination chapter because many of you were complaining that video was cut in some parts of the video in the previous video which I have uploaded. So I'm redoing it. So let us understand what is control and what is coordination. The perfect synchrony between different organs of the body is called coordination. So what is coordination? I want to give one example. When you hold the spoon with some rice, it will not go to your eyes, it will directly go to your mouth. So that is the perfect synchrony between the mouth and the hand is called as coordination, and control is controlling all the parts of the body. This control and coordination is done by the nervous system. So nervous system consists of brain, spinal cord and nerves. So nervous system can be further classified as central nervous system, which consists of brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system consists of ganglia and nerves. So I have drawn here to show the nervous system, types of nervous system. Peripheral nervous system consists of nerves and ganglion, whereas the central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. So these nerves are of two types. One is sensory nerves and another one is motor nerve. Sensory nerves carry the message from the sense organ. For example, you have not commented in the previous video about the sense organs. There are 5 sense organs. Please comment down. It is very simple answer. Please comment down your answer below. Sensory organs, sensory nerves carry the sense message from the sense organs to the brain, whereas motor nerve carry the message given by the brain to the muscles or the glands. I want to give an example here also. When you touch something hot or cold, the sense organ which senses the hotness and the coldness, that is skin. Skin carries the message to the brain, and in return you will move your hand or you will retain your hand there itself. If you are feeling very hot, then what you will do, you will suddenly remove off your hand. That message is carried by the motor nerves from the brain or the spinal cord to the muscles that you have to remove your hand from the flame. So this is what the function of motor nerves. Sensory nerves carries the message from sense organs to the brain. Motor nerve carries the message from brain to the muscles or the glands. The whole nervous system is made up of some special kind of cells called nerve cells. Nerve cells looks like this. The whole nervous system is made up of these kind of nerves. Okay, nerves or neurons. Each of these cell can be called as nerve cell or neuron. So nerve cell or neuron is the building block of whole nervous system. So what are the things you see here? Dendrite, nucleus, cell body, axon, nerve ending. And the gap between two cells, this is one cell and this is second cell, the gap between these two cells is called as synapse. Okay, so dendrites are the receivers of the messages. So dendrites always receive the messages, and in axon it passes, and through nerve ending it will be released through to the synapse. So what happens in the dendrite? The message will be received, and that message is created as a electrical impulse inside the cell body. It will pass like a electric impulse. When it comes to the nerve ending, it sets off to chemicals. So in the synapse, the message will be in the form of what, children? It is in the form of chemical, but inside the cell body it will be in the form of electrical impulse. So I want to clear it once again. Inside the cell body, the message will be message passes in the form of electrical impulse, whereas in the synapse it sets off into a chemical message. Understood? In the synapse it will be in the form of chemical, inside the cell body it will be in the form of electrical impulse. So this is how the message passes from one cell to another cell, and it reaches to the brain. From brain, the motor nerves again carries the response from the brain and it passes it to the muscles. So these responses that we receive from the brain are of 3 types. The responses are 3 types. First one is reflex action, second one is voluntary action, and third one is involuntary action. So in case of reflex action, we do not involve, the brain is brain does not involve in the reflex action. So we need to give a sudden reply to the stimulus. So whenever you touch very hot pan, so what happens? You suddenly take off your hand from that pan. So how does it happens? The message cannot go to brain, and again it has to process, and again it has to reach to your hand, so that hand will be removed. It is a very delayed process. Instead of that, what is happening in the reflex action? Instead of going to the brain, it will just go to the spinal cord. I want to explain it through an diagram. So here you can see the brain, and this is the spinal cord. For example, with your hand you are touching a hot pan, and it has to move from here to here, brain. Then the brain has to think, and it has to send the response from here to here, and it has to reach your hand. Then you will remove your hand from the pan. So it will be a very delayed process. Instead of that, what is happening? The hand directly sends the message here, and the response will be taken from the spinal cord to the muscle. So suddenly you will remove off your hand. This is how the reflex action works. Reflex actions are sudden reaction to any stimulus. Though when does the reflex action occurs? When reflex action occurs when the organism is in dangerous situation. If it is delayed, if it has to reach to brain and it has to come again to the muscle, so it will be a delayed process. By that time your hand would be half away burnt. That's why there is a quick alternative for this system, that is called as reflex action. In the reflex action, you will see that only spinal cord and the nerves are involved. No involvement of the brain is seen in the reflex actions. In case of the next type of response is voluntary actions. These voluntary actions are occurring with the conscience of the organism. The organism will know, and it will be willing to do that. For example, you are walking. You can stop yourself walking. It is your wish and will. It is occurring according to your wish and will. For example, sitting, standing, talking, walking, these are all voluntary actions. We can do if we want. We can also stop if we don't want. The involuntary actions like breathing, salivation, heartbeat. You cannot stop your heartbeat. You cannot stop breathing. These has to happen to carry out all the life processes. So we cannot control the involuntary actions. Such actions are called what? Involuntary actions. The actions which cannot be controlled by the organisms is called involuntary actions. So for the notes, you have to join the Telegram channel which is given in the description box, and you have to click the link which will direct you to the Telegram channel where the whole notes of this lesson will be provided free of cost. Children, now let us study the diagram of brain and its part. For our convenience, we have divided it into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Let us study the forebrain first. In the forebrain, we have thalamus, hypothalamus. Thalamus will be somewhere here. Thalamus, hypothalamus and cerebrum. The main functions of these forebrain are: it is the center for sensory impulses, that is, it receives the messages. This cerebrum, this forebrain, this receives the messages. It is a center for control of water balance, blood pressure, blood temperature, sleep and hunger. Hypothalamus controls the body temperature. So cerebrum is responsible for memory and sense. This cerebrum is responsible for memory and sense. Let us next move to the midbrain. So midbrain is responsible for hearing and sight. So midbrain controls our hearing and sight, whereas hindbrain consists of pons, medulla and cerebellum. Medulla controls the involuntary actions like blood pressure, salivation, breathing, heartbeat, etc. Whereas cerebellum, this part. So this part controls the muscular activities. Muscular activities are voluntary activities. Your muscles are like you can move your muscles according to your wish and will. Muscular activities like walking, talking, sitting posture, etc. This cerebellum controls the precision in the voluntary activities. Like you are walking in a straight line. Walking is different. Walking in a straight line is different. So this cerebellum controls the accuracy in your voluntary activities. Your sitting posture, you are sitting perfectly in a right angle. That is due to cerebellum. So this controls the precision of a voluntary activities. Children, till now we have studied control and coordination in the animals. Now we are going to study control and coordination in the plants. Plants have mainly two types of movements. One is growth dependent and another one is independent of the growth. The movement which is independent of the growth. So the movement due to light, gravity, chemicals, water, these are growth dependent movements. And another one is there is a movement because of your touch, which is called as thigmotropism. So that is independent of the growth. So let us see one by one. The first one is growth dependent. I am going to teach you growth dependent. So in case of growth dependent, we study phototropism. Phototropism. Photo means light. Photo is light. The movement of the plant in response to the direction of the light. In response to the direction of the light. Whenever you place the plant near to the window, it always wants to go out of the window. It is facing towards the window. It is not facing away from the window. That is because it is moving towards the light. So that is called phototropism. In your lower classes, you would have done some activities regarding to this. Please recall it. The second one is geotropism. Geotropism is, see, there are two types of geotropism. One is positively geotrophic and negatively geotrophic. Positively geotrophic means moving towards the earth, moving towards the earth. Negatively geotrophic means moving away from the earth. There are these both of the geotrophism are shown in the plant. In case of shoots will always move away from the earth. Shoots will always move away from the earth, whereas roots will always move towards the earth. So this can be why. That's why I called roots as positively geotrophic, whereas shoots are negatively geotrophic. What is geotrophism? Movement of or growth of the plant towards the earth is called positively geotrophism. Away from the earth is called negatively geotrophic. Movement of the plant and its parts in response to the gravity is called geotrophism. There are two types of geotrophic movements. One is positively geotrophic and another one is negatively geotrophic. Another one is chemotrophism. Chemo means chemicals. Movement of the plants or plant parts of the plants in response to the chemicals is called chemotrophism. I'll explain you in the next chapter, that is reproduction in the plants. The pollen grain, which is moving towards the ovule to fertilize it. How does it know that ovule is there in the ovum? How it comes to know? Because there is a release of some chemicals. That chemicals will drive the pollen towards the ovules. That's what happens in the fertilization of the plants. So I'm going to explain it in detail while explaining the sexual reproduction in the plants. Next one is hydrotrophism. Directional movement of the water to plants towards the water. So the roots of the plant will move towards the source of the water, which is called as hydrotrophism. This hydrotrophism, chemotrophism, geotrophism and phototrophism are growth dependent. They grow towards or away from these things. So another one is thigmotropism, which is not growth dependent. So the plant will respond with your touch. When you touch some plants, it will respond. So that is called as thigmotropism. Children, we have seen nervous system and other control and coordination system in the animals. But this cannot happen in case of plants, because Plant lacks nervous system. Plants do not have muscles. Plants do not have sense organs, and plants lacks the neurons and nerve cells. That's why there is an alternative system in the plants called chemical communication or hormonal communication in the plants. So let us study these hormones. I think it is a very new word for you. I'm going to give the definition also. The hormones are the chemical messengers. The chemical messengers. So what does they do? How the nerves will carry the messages. Instead of nerves, here the hormones will carry the messages. Hormones are secreted in the plant body, and even we do have the hormones. Hormones are common to plants and animals. Both plants and animals will have hormones, but the hormones in the plants are very different from hormones in the animals. That's why we do say that plant hormones and animal hormones. So there are two types of hormones: the plant hormones and the animal hormones. So I'm going to provide you these notes. Please join the Telegram channel. So why I do consider hormones as a better system over the nervous system? Why? Because nerves has to be present. So if I want to send some messages to your legs, in the legs the nerves has to be present. Where the nerves are present, there only the message will be delivered. In case of absence of nervous system or nerves, the message cannot be sent to that organ. So in that case the hormones are better, because everywhere blood will be there, everywhere some kind of liquid will be there. So in the liquids these hormones are secreted. These hormones will reach everywhere where the blood flows. But in case of nervous system, it will not happen. In case of nervous system, we need nerves to carry the messages. Where the nerves will be absent, there you cannot reach. It is like you having your own vehicle, hormones, and you are moving in the public vehicles. In case of public vehicles, you can reach only up to the your bus stop. But in case of hormones, you can reach, that is your personal, in case of your personal vehicle, you can reach till your home. So hormones can reach everywhere, but the nervous system will reach only where the nerves will be present. Understood? I have related it to the public transport and your own vehicle system. So there are many types of plant hormones, and I have given the roles of them here. What are the activities they do? Auxins helps in the growth of the shoot tips. Gibberellins, growth of the stem, or it increases the girth, that is thickness of the plant. Cytokinin helps in cell division. Abscisic acid inhibits the growth. So abscisic acid is also which helps in the aging of the fruits. Okay, this gibberellin sometimes is also called as gibberellic acid, which increases the ripening of the fruits. So let us study hormones in the animals. So animal hormones system, the hormones are secreted by the glands. The glands are the parts which secretes the hormones. These glands can be classified into two types: endocrine and exocrine gland. So endocrine gland and exocrine gland. Endocrine glands, what are they? They do not have any duct. They do not have any pipe. Ductless glands. These endocrine glands are ductless glands. These exocrine glands have ducts to carry these glands, what they will do? They will release the hormone. To carry the hormone, these endocrine glands, they do not have any pipe. But exocrine glands, they do have pipe to carry the hormones they release. So what happens? This will be the endocrine gland hormones will be secreted in the bloodstream. They do not have any pipe, so that's why they will be released in the bloodstream. But These exocrine glands are very specific hormones which will be released to only the targeted organ. See, if we wanted to release only on the liver, it will be released only on the liver, not to any other organs. It will not be released in the blood, so that it will not release any wrong organ. But in case of this endocrine gland, the hormones will be released in the bloodstream and it reaches to all the organs. So in the endocrine gland, what happens? The secreting substance, we call it as hormones. But these exocrine glands, they do not always secrete hormone, but they secrete saliva and sometimes milk. Milk in case of mammals, which are called as mammary glands. So the endocrine gland system releases hormones. Hormones will be carried or transported through blood. But exocrine gland secretes some of other things other than hormone, which will be carried through the ducts. Sometimes it also releases enzymes, sweat. We call them as sweat gland. Okay, so this is the main difference between endocrine and exocrine gland. So hormones plays a very important system in the control and coordination of the organs. That's why we are going to study only about the endocrine glands. We are not going to study about exocrine glands. You have studied in case of life processes about the salivary gland. You have studied about enzymes. You have studied pepsin, trypsin. So what are the glands which releases those enzymes? You have studied. But in this particular chapter, we are going to study only about endocrine glands. Let us study the endocrine glands and the hormones they releases, and also the effect of that particular hormone. So the first one we are going to study is pituitary gland, which is also called as master gland, as it controls all other glands. That's why we call pituitary gland as master gland. So what is the function? Which hormone is released by pituitary gland? It releases growth hormone, which is also called as GH. So what does growth hormone do? Growth hormones helps in the growth of the bone and other body tissues. So children, if the growth hormone is released in the large amount, it results into gigantism. Gigantism means the person will be of more height when compared to the normal people, which looks very odd, right? And if the hormone is released in a very less quantity, it results into dwarfism. So dwarfism is a case when the person is of a less height when compared to the normal people. So when it is released in the more amount, it causes gigantism. When it is released in the less amount, it causes dwarfism. So where does the pituitary gland is present? Pituitary gland is present in the brain. It is a pea-sized gland. Okay. Next one is pineal gland, which releases melatonin, which controls the sleep and wake up patterns. Sleep and wake cycles in the organism is controlled by melatonin hormone, which is released by the pineal gland. Next one is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, this controls and links between the endocrine system and the nervous system. What did we study in the nervous system, children? We have studied that brain, spinal cord, nerves are the components of the nervous system, whereas in the endocrine system we have studied hormones and the glands which releases. The glands will be releasing the hormones, right? So glands and the hormones are the components of endocrine system. So this endocrine system and the nervous system has to be linked, which is done by the hypothalamus, and also it influences and controls the synthesis and release of growth hormone by the pituitary gland. And the next gland is, so where does the hypothalamus is present? It is also present in the brain. I have explained to you while explaining the brain. Okay, next one is thyroid gland. So thyroid gland releases the hormone named thyroxine. So it controls the metabolism of the body. Metabolism means how fast or how slow the activities of your body has to be done. So that is decided by the thyroid gland by the release of thyroxine hormone. So it helps for the bone, brain, nervous system development. Also releases calcitonin, which helps in the which helps in the absorption of the calcium. So iodine is very important for the synthesis of this hormone. In case of deficiency of iodine, there causes a disease called goiter. I've written here, this goiter is a condition where the thyroid glands will be swollen and they will be hanging. So this is a condition, the goiter is a condition where the iodine deficiency, in case of iodine deficiency, the thyroid glands will be swells up, they will be hanging. So where does the thyroid gland is present? It is present in your neck area. I'm going to show you the diagram. See page number 124. So you see the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is present in the neck area. Okay. So next one is parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid is also even present near to the thyroid gland itself. It maintains the levels of calcium in the body by using calcitonin released by the thyroid gland. So calcitonin is released by the thyroid gland. I have given you. This calcitonin is helped to maintain the levels of calcium in the body. Okay, why does the calcium is important to us? Please comment down below. The next hormone is adrenaline, which is released by adrenal gland. It is a very interesting hormone because it is also called as stress hormone, which helps to manage the stress. Every time you come up with some stress, every time you see the snake, you are not going to get heart attack. Why? Because this hormone helps us to manage the stress level in the human. So what is that hormone? That is adrenaline. It suddenly controls the salt and water level in the muscle and also helps to control the stress level in the organism. Next one is pancreas. Pancreas releases some enzyme. Which is that enzyme we have studied during the life process lesson, that is in the digestion. You have to comment down below. It also releases some hormone called as insulin. So insulin is a very important hormone which helps in controlling blood sugar level. So if the insulin is very less, if it is not released by the pancreas, what does it happens? The blood sugar level going to, so what does this insulin do? Insulin helps in the digestion of the blood sugar. So when insulin is not released, what happens? The blood sugar will be very high. In case of that high blood sugar levels, we call that condition as diabetes. So we call that as diabetes. In that case, the artificially insulin has to be supplied into the body through injections. That's why the medication is suggested for the diabetes patients. The next one are called gonads, or reproductive structure or reproductive organs or hormones, which releases estrogen and progesterone in case of female and testosterone in case of male. So ovaries are the one which releases estrogen and progesterone. Testes releases testosterone. So they develop secondary sexual characters. What is secondary sexual character? When you hit the maturity, in case of male, you see the male will start developing the mustache and the beard, whereas the muscles will start developing. So these are the secondary sexual characters. In case of female, we see the breast development. So these are, and then she starts the menstrual cycle. So these are the secondary sexual characters that occurs when these hormones start releasing in the body of a female or the male. So what is the main functions of these? The functions will be different in females and the males. In case of female, it helps to maintain the cycle in the females. In case of irregular cycle, we see that there will be changes, or the particular hormone will not be released in the body, which will result in the irregular cycles in the female. So this was the lesson about control and coordination in the plants and animals. Hope the lesson is clear to you. If in case of any doubts, please comment down below and subscribe to my channel, share with your friends. Thank you all.